Hi, welcome to the Lowellian. My name is Nancy Peña. I'm the director and producer of Colores Latinos TV, and I'm with my friend Fru. Hi, Fru. How you doing today?
Hi, Nancy, and it's a pleasure to be on the Lowellian, and my name is Nkimbeng. I'm a producer of African Hour since 2000.
Wow, that's great. And today here we are going to chat about, how we started to produce and what it was the motivation about producing here in Lowell. So let's start it. So I would like to ask you, Fru, if you can tell a little bit more about your show, how you started and what was the motivation behind the show?
What a wonderful question. You take my memory back 20-something years ago. I started by volunteering here at LTC, and gradually my love for television increased, and then there were no really shows about the African community.
Interesting.
So I thought that the only way to talk about the African community is to learn how to produce, and there were so many good people here, the staff here, were there to train us to do that. And I also felt that it was an opportunity for me to bring a little bit of my own culture, Africa, into the homes of Lowell.
Nice.
So what about yourself? How did you start your
Yeah,
show?
thank you for asking. So it's very similar to the way you started. I am a journalist by background, and I'm from Guatemala. And when I moved to Lowell, I was looking some type of media, right, to communicate and to engage community. And the way that Colores Latinos TV started was in 2011. And I remember the first day I came here, I met with Dan Toomey. A friend of us, and a lot of people knows Dan Toomey. And he introduces me to Fru and other colleagues, and I started to take the classes. And finally, I started with my first show. It was July 2011. I remember that. But the idea behind the show, Fru, was that one day I was watching Discovery Channel, and they have this mini series of the worst jails in Latin America. And that catch my attention because I thought, well, Discovery Channel has millions of dollars to produce this, to travel in different countries. So why instead producing the worst jails in Latin America, they don't produce the best places or food in Latin America, right? So Color Latinos TV actually started as an answer about that miniseries to show, as you mentioned, our culture, right? Because our culture, our folklore, our music, our food, and the best things we have in Latin America, same in Cameroon and Africa. And also I remember when I met you, I remember that part of your show, you also involve a lot of people from Cameroon, right, internationally. So you were bringing leaders to the show, right? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, you're very right, Nancy. We have the same vision also because we feel that, they say that you are the best person to tell your story. Because coming from Cameroon, Africa, when I watch the media about Africa, I feel that it was really misrepresented. So, and that was one of the motivation that made me to bring a different perspective as an African. And watching the stories here, I felt that, hear it from me. Because I do believe that if you don't tell your story, some other person tells your story, it will not be really too good. So talking about that, yes, I have always been involved in the community because I feel that mostly here in Lowell has given me quite a lot. And the only way that I can give back is to volunteer my time and services. Volunteered with the police volunteered with schools, serves on many boards. And we had to invite the leaders, political leaders of Cameroon once to come here to visit Lowell. And also because I come from one of the largest royal paramount family in Cameroon, Bamenda to be specific. So I brought my uncle, who is a paramount king, and at City Hall twice, and he was made an honorary member of Lowell, of the City Council. So those events really, and actually meeting you, and through your show, you are able to take me and some of us to Guatemala to experience the shows and life in Guatemala through you. And I think that that's the beauty of it, right?
Thank you. Yes, well, yes, and it's interesting the way you describe about telling your story, right? Because if not, somebody else will tell the story about us, but not perhaps the real story, right? And I definitely agree with you and feel the same way. And also, I feel with the same spirit of getting back to the community, right? Because I usually volunteer at LTC and in different events here in Lowell and sometimes in Lawrence and other countries, cities, and Lynn, actually. And as you mentioned, it's important to bring back to the community fruit because in that way you are not just learning from others, but doing networking, but also to enhance our culture, right? As Latinos, as Africans. And that's what we really wanted to do in those shows. And now then you mentioned about Guatemala. Yes, I bring a lot of culture, information from Guatemala and Colores Latinos TV. And that is something that helps me to open the window to show the beauty of our cultures. And talking about media and media making process, I know then when I started in LTC, they requested for me to learn to use the equipment and the cameras and everything before I take the cameras, right? So finally, I started to produce the show, editing the show, and doing everything as you know. So I would like to ask you, what is your favorite part when you are producing, and what is the the processes that you don't like, then perhaps you hate about production?
Well, the most important thing is, and even anyone out there, I would say that an institution like LTC provides an opportunity for you to learn technology free. The staff is very available to help. If the knowledge that I got here, if I were to learn it elsewhere, I would be able to provide, to buy the equipment and pay money. But the staff is here to encourage people to learn. But talking about that, Nancy, you as a producer, you know that you are doing this because you love it. And also loving it, there are very challenges because of the technology, the software you have to do it. And the most difficult part of producing a show is the editing. Because I think to be able to do a good show, I think one of the requisites is that you must have patience. Because without patience, you cannot produce a good show. Because, and even sometimes your patience and the technology, the show can crash and things like that. Whatever you've done, you lost it and your time is gone. But the joy of it is when you really produce a good show and people watch it, you actually share your knowledge and what you want to convey to the people. Because I think as a producer, you have a message to convey. And if at the end of producing, you successfully convey your message to your audience, that is your joy. What about you? Can you tell me your frustrations and your
Oh my
love?
gosh. Yes, it's funny because you mentioned about technology. And of course, here in LTC, I have learned so much and I'm learning every single day because technology, right, is moving faster now. But what I love about when I'm producing is the preparation of the show, right? The idea behind the show. For example, if I'm interviewing somebody or if I'm going to cover an event, I'm excited. But as you mentioned, right, the editing part, yes, we had to have time and patience. But sometimes I think that because I want to bring something very professional, as you mentioned, and the same to you, right? I invest a lot of time and hours to produce perhaps like a 3 minutes clip, even 30 seconds clip. Sometimes it's even worse to produce a 30 seconds clip than an hour show, right? So I really invest a lot of time. I enjoy it, but that's the part that I really don't like it that much, like the editing part. But nowadays we have a lot of technology, and sometimes, as I mentioned it to you before this chatting, right? One day I went to Guatemala and I was in the lake, Atitlan is this lake, it's the second lake most beautiful in the earth. We have it in Guatemala. And I shoot a production there. I shoot an interview just with my phone through. And I edit it in my phone. So that's what I like about technology now, that you can definitely do many things with a small equipment versus, those huge cameras that we were using a long time ago, right?
Yeah. Nancy, I would like you, could you talk more about some of the shows? I know that you have produced shows about certain events and educating the community about what's going on here, because I feel that through your show too, there are some immigrants who watch your show, and through your show, you are educating them as to how to understand their new city and how it's worked. How has that been?
Well, thank you for asking that question. This is something that I really pay attention for because it happens to me as an immigrant, right? When I came here, to understand the weather, right? Just the weather, because when we have winter time, to understand how the health system works. So I think that after learning on my own and passing along my experiences and for others to understand and know perhaps not to suffer, right? Not to suffer like, I don't know this, I don't know that. I produce sometimes like a mini tutorials, even 3 minutes, 7 minutes clips, just to share about the culture here, how different is from our culture, and how to follow rules, which is important for, because remember, we are immigrants, right? And my father told me a long time ago, since I was a child, like when you go to a different house, you have to respect the house rules. The same happened here, right? We are immigrants, we have to follow up and respect rules. So I am really um, all the time promoting with our immigrants, brothers, sisters who are coming. Unfortunately, the system in our countries are sometimes is not the best, right? So I definitely encourage them to follow up and learn about the rules. And so, for example, one of the most important things for me sometimes is with the winter time. Sometimes I see people outside, perhaps from Latin America, other countries, without the right clothes
Because
during the
because
winter
it
time.
doesn't snow down there, you have warm weather.
I know we all time have 70 degrees, but when it's -5 here, it's cold and people can get sick. When I see them, I'm like, I talk to them, but also I share with them the videos, where to buy things, where to buy clothes. And a small, perhaps clips like that can impact the community. How about you? What experiences do you have, like sharing culture and things?
Well, from within my community, not very many people have the courage to go out and talk to strangers. But I think that I am blessed that I don't have that fear of talking to strangers. So to me, I really felt that our city officials, like the police, the city manager, the mayor, and even the superintendent of schools, They are here at our service. They are public servants. So what I did was I walked into their office and I said, people within my community would be glad if you come on my show for an interview to tell them more about the what you do and what is available for them. So I started interviewing the mayors, city manager, superintendent of schools, and with that also, you see, they explain a lot of information that makes the immigrant know that these people are public servants. And they also educate them. Because one thing with us immigrant, when I equally came here myself, I was very, very scared to even go and talk to a police, let alone say go to the city hall, talk to the mayor and the city manager. But when I walked into the police office and request a meeting with the chief of police or the city manager or the mayor or even the superintendent of schools, I was shocked that it was so easy. They welcomed me, come and sit down. For what can I do for you? And made me feel so much at home. So, which, is different from the area that I came from. So I feel that I encourage every other immigrant out there. These public officials are there to serve us. Please just ask questions. So that's what I think.
That's a great idea, and especially for, as you mentioned, right, immigrants, it's important to talk to the leaders in the community, and I know that you cultivate that for almost 20 years, right? More than 20 years, you have more than 20 years with your show, right? You started
Yes.
2000, so it's almost 24. So how about if we can talk about what can we advise or what can you advise for new producers, for example, people who are watching this show, if they want to start a production, a show here in LTC or perhaps in a different city, what do you recommend to them? How to start?
Well, Nancy, that's a very good question. I speak about myself and maybe explaining what I have done, it may be helpful to others. I think that the most important thing, if you go to any city that you are a stranger there, is to volunteer your time. First of all, look at the non-profit organizations that are there and volunteer your time. Because when you volunteer your time, you meet people and people are willing to help you. And in a place like LTC, you come there and volunteer. That's how you learn the community. That's how you meet people who are out of your own immediate community. So when you talk to them, they will give you, people are always willing to help a person in a new place. So to be able to start your own program, I would say when you volunteer your services, everyone is willing to help you and open doors of opportunities for you. Because places like LTC and other non-profit organizations out there, you go there, they are going to open doors, they will refer you, they will educate you, and you learn more than you know, because in any new place, these non-profit organizations are institutions that help. But now with that knowledge, you can be able to build the courage and then start your show. What do you think? Skipping to that, Nancy, let me ask you, what is the most important interview or show that you have had?
Thank you. Yes, thank you. So yes, before I answer that about the advice, to produce a show, I think that sometimes it's important to go to if you're in a different city, right, or Lowell, you can come to LTC and Lowell. But if you are in a different city, you can go to the local channel, right? Through each city has a local channel, and you can learn how to use the equipment and use the equipment just like LTC promote that for our community. And going back to your question about what is the best interview or perhaps the most important, I think all of them were important, but I think the one that really catch my attention and stay with me is two interviews. But one is like maybe 5 years ago, I interviewed a doctor here from Massachusetts, and we talk about substance abuse and how the state or nationwide, but the state was thinking to implement clinical, some clinics in the towns for people to have a safe, let's say, safe injection clinic, meaning that people can go to that clinic, use the substance use, and doctors will be there in case you have a overdose. That really struck me for many reasons. They says in Canada has it, and it's a success because they are saving a lot of life, and also they are encouraging people to go for rehab, right? But on the other hand, it catch my attention because I thought, well, if we have those clinics here, are we gonna promote more to use substance use because now you feel safe in this clinic? Versus how we can approach that in a different manner, maybe, I don't know, maybe creating programs or asking people who unfortunately are using substance use to ask them how we can help them, why they are doing this, to go like a deep in that problem instead of just implementing a clinic. So that was one of the shows that really stuck still in my head. And also, we won I think the second or the third place in a competition with that interview. How about you?
Well, this one stands out. When 9/11 happened,
Oh, wow.
People within my community are mostly the Muslim community were very, very worried. So I walked into Chief of Police Ed Davis' office. I told Chief of Police that there are people within my community are very worried because of the climate and what has that tragic event. And then I said, Chief, Commissioner Ed Davis asked me through what do you have in mind? I said, Chief, I was thinking that if you can go on the air and then talk to them and calm their fears, it will be wonderful. So Commissioner Ed Davis, he was a great person. He's always been like a mentor to me. He said, all right, through. So I came to LTC. So we arranged the first live television. So I went to the community. I spread word that if you have any fears or any question, the Chief of Police will be coming on the air. So Commissioner Ed Davis III came on the show with me, and that was very, very successful show within the community because he actually reassured the immigrant community and mostly the Muslim community that they are protected. And then another show which I had was interviewing superintendent of schools, Jen Franco, and also Dr. Boyd. So those shows, and as well as my very good friend, Superintendent of Police Ken Lowellian, and our city manager, Tom Golden. So these people come on the air and educate the community, mostly the immigrant community, as to what their offers, services that their offices provide. So those are some of the highlights of my show that I can recall.
Oh, wow, Fru. So thank you for sharing that about the 9/11. Really, it doesn't surprise me from you, especially because you are, a leader. But really surprised me the way you thought about your community and the fear they were experiencing during the 9/11, and you just run and talk to the, police officer, not just to calm down your community, but I'm sure then he helped to calm down others, right? Because the message is for everybody. And the way you approach it, that was amazing.
Well, Nancy, I mean, all of us, we do everything. When once each and every one of us uh, contribute a little to building our community, the community functions well. You work in Boston and you travel after work all the way from Boston and you do your show, you come here, you spend time. That time that you put in is really not for you. It's because you want the community, you want to give a little bit of your own time and effort to the community. You see, if every one of us, if we give a little bit, we share information and we learn from each other. So what I did was just what everyone could do. It's just that I felt within my community, as well as there are certain things that some other people may see it, but and do it their own way. And what happened then was quite good. So, could you tell me what are the major challenges that you really faced
That's a,
in producing your show?
that's a good question. I think one of the biggest challenges I had when I started was to, well, first of all, to understand the system, the cameras, technical stuff. But besides of technical, was then I was visioning my show not just to produce here and broadcast it just in Lowell. I was visioning my show to broadcast in different states. And when I went out to knock different doors, different towns, I says, oh, remember that when we have the CD, right? Because we had those CDs by that time. So I bring my CD to different local channels and offering says, listen, this is a very professional, high quality program, and it's bilingual. And many towns were telling me, oh, we don't have Latinos here. Oh, we don't need that show here. And I'm like, well, and it happens after I started to, good things happens, right? I started to submit my shows and won some awards. Those local channels call me back. Oh, can you send your show? And I'm like, of course I can send the show. Thank you, but do you have Latinos now? Because they told me before they don't have Latinos, and they are like, well, the show is high quality, it's bilingual, so we want to broadcast it. So that was the challenge, but I never stopped because they says no to me, right? The no was like another challenge for me to keep trying to broadcast my show and expand it to different areas. So finally, at the end of the day, the show was in 32 local channels in 3 states, right? It was in New Hampshire, in Rhode Island, in Massachusetts, and also in Guatemala. How about you?
Well, I mean, what you've just said is more or less, I would like also to call on many other immigrants out there that to emulate, to copy your example. And that because most immigrants come here with a lot of knowledge, with a lot of skills to offer. So by insisting like what you did, and then your show now is being watched in many other states. So mine, the challenges are really there. And first of all, it was really the culture. And most importantly, I have to work. And I had to go to school, you see, and I had to take care of a family.
Yes,
So you
yes,
have to
yes.
manage the time and manage all those. But above all, I believe that my show was really bringing a little bit of contribution to making this city the what can I say, the diverse community that we have, that everyone brings a little, and then the city is we celebrate our diversity and then move on. So I feel that I don't really anything that I do, I enjoyed it, I celebrate it, and I think that Lowell is such a wonderful place that offers these opportunities.
I agree with you. I agree with you about the diversity, and it's a wonderful place to live. And also, I agree that LTC, as you agree with me, is a wonderful place to be, and it's a wonderful place to learn how to produce and to bring your voice and your community voice. So, with this message, Ru, I thank you for being with us here today. Behind cameras is Wednesday, so thank you so much for the invitation and producing this wonderful show. And thank you to you for your company and willing to share your experience.
Well, the discussion has been very productive, but I would like also to thank the staff of LTC because it's not really easy doing this show, and that LTC's doors are open. And we take this opportunity to call most people to be members, because when once you join LTC, your membership, you have the opportunity to use the camera, use the equipment, which ordinarily, if you were to go somewhere, you will pay. And those are some of the things that the people out there should know.
And use the place. And use the place
and
too.
and you can come here too and create your show.
Yes.
And so LTC is here to serve us, and but we need people to come.
Yes.
And when you come, then you will be able to see what a wonderful place it is.
Thank you. I agree with you. So thank you so much for watching us, and we invite you to keep watching the Lowellian. Thank you.